All right, now we're going to change gears and hear some words of wisdom from one of our very gracious industry partners that came all the way from America to see some of our games and talk to our students. John Gibson from Tripwire, come on down.
How are y'all doing tonight? I believe there's supposed to be a presentation appearing up here. While that's appearing, I'll just introduce myself. As Don mentioned, I'm John Gibson. I work for a company called Tripwire Interactive. I thought that it would be nice to talk to you all a little bit about some of the experiences we had going from a mod team to an independent developer. I know that a lot of you here tonight are getting ready to graduate or your students. And it was just 4 short years ago that I graduated college and now run my own game development studio. So there were some good things and bad things that happened along the way that I'd like to talk to you about. Of course, we, as I mentioned, we got our start as a mod team working on a mod called Red Orchestra. Really, the key point I'd like to make about this here is we entered this contest called the Make Something Unreal contest. The contest allowed us to win some money, which helped us start a game studio, and gave us game engine licenses for the Unreal Engine. But one of really the most important thing that we learned during this time period was learning how to think outside the box. I know that it's something you hear a lot, thinking outside the box, but how do you really apply that? I'll give you a really good example about one way that we did that with the Red Orchestra team. Close to the end of the contest, there was a lot of other really talented mods coming up, and we really started to fear that we might lose the contest. So I got the whole mod team together and I said, I want you to write down a list of what you think the features are that the other mods are going to have that will beat us. If a mod's going to beat us, what features is that mod going to have? Everyone on the team gave me the list of their features. I made a top 10 list. And then I got all the team back together and I said, okay, see this list of the top 10 features that are going to beat our mod? Let's make our mod have those top 10 features. And that really, that's a really great example of making the team think about things differently. If I had just said, hey guys, what do you think are going to be the things that will make our game good? They would have thought about it within the confines of the game we were making. But having them think about the other games really opened up their minds. So that was really, really a great thing that we learned at that time. What went wrong? A few things definitely went wrong. Towards the end of the mod contest, when we won, we kind of believed this hype and press that surrounded the competition. There was this kind of stigma in the press that whoever won this mod contest was going to have an instant ticket to game industry superstardom and an easy ride. And I'm here to tell you that absolutely did not happen. We really thought that the engine license would also give us an easy ride. We go into publishers, say, look at this great mod we have, look at this engine license we have. And we really found out the publishers really didn't care. They're like, yeah, we have 10 of those engine licenses, so what? Why is your game going to sell? And the publishers weren't really getting it. It was really surprising to us in this day and age of games like Counter-Strike having sold millions of copies, Day of Defeat, Tactical Ops, games that started as mods and then turned into a retail game. We couldn't believe the publishers didn't get it. They really said, no one's going to pay for this. It used to be free. So, and over the period of the development of the mod, we actually lost a lot of our talent to other game studios. So that was kind of troubling. So we win the mod contest. We decide to form a company. We won, I think, about $50,000 in the contest. I don't know what that is in kroners, but someone could probably help me with that. Not a lot of money to run a game studio. But, we got the core talented members of the team together. We moved to one place, set up the studio and said, we're going to make a game. To keep costs down, we just had a few on-site people, and then we kept the rest of the mod team as on-site contractors. And that worked really great. It allowed us to develop the mod with a very, very small budget and grow slowly. Looking back, if we'd have just brought everybody on site, we'd have worked for about 2 weeks, ran out of money, and closed the doors. So very good that we decided to do it that way. Some of the things that went wrong, the contest winnings ran out very quickly. As I mentioned, we listened to the hype surrounding our game. It was very unfortunate. We started to believe what the press was saying. You guys are going to be the next Counter-Strike, all this kind of stuff. And so we ran out of that money. Another problem that we had is we used this remote team, and we didn't realize that having so many of the designers remote was going to cause us a lot of problems, especially later in the development. As we got close to the end, we were realizing that the levels we were creating weren't getting finished on time, and they weren't really coming along, and we had to cut and modify a lot of content very late in the game, which was really difficult. And just as an example, hopefully you can kind of see this picture. This is something no one's ever seen before. This is an example of a map that got cut late in development. It's called Fallen Heroes, and we had envisioned for our game we would have these two set-piece maps, one in Berlin and one set in Stalingrad. And we were really excited about this map. We developed it for about 4 or 5 months, spent a lot of art and development time on it, and it just wasn't working. We were getting so close to the release, it just wasn't working, so we had to cut it. But no one's ever seen these pictures before, so go tell all your friends. The designer that worked on this will probably yell at me for showing it, so hope it's worth it. So we worked on the game for about 10 months. It was what we called a death march from start to finish. That meant that everyone was working very, very long hours, working very, very hard. But came time to release the game. Some of the things that went right. Digital distribution. That was probably the smartest decision that we'd ever made. As an independent developer, at the time, the publishers weren't getting it. When we talked to Valve, they got it. They had done Counter-Strike. They had done Dave Defeat. They realized, a mod can make money. And so that was a really great decision for us. We came into digital distribution, especially with Steam, right at the very beginning. So that really, got a lot of attention for our game. And to be quite blunt, it was very, very financially successful for our company. When you sell a game at retail, everyone between the manufacturer, the publisher, the store that sells it, they all take a little chunk. When you sell digitally, there's just you and the customer. So the customer buys it, a month later you have money. Really, really great thing, especially considering we were out of money by the time we finished the game. Retail distribution, on the other hand, it still has its place because we didn't make as much money off of retail, but getting it on store shelves all over the world got us a lot of players. And for a multiplayer game, when someone buys a multiplayer game or they're thinking about buying a multiplayer game, they want to know that when they buy it, when they go to hop on a server, there's going to be people playing. And so even though we didn't make that much money off of retail, it got hundreds of thousands of people into and playing the game. And then they told their buddies, and they told their buddies. So that worked out really great. And it was very exciting for us. It had always been our dream as the mod team to make a retail version of the game. And when it came out and the fans really liked it and got good review scores, that was very nice for us. Things that didn't go right with the release. Lack of marketing. I can't tell you enough, if anyone here is going to try to do an independent game, just how important marketing is. And we seriously had none. We spent every dime that we had making the game. So when it came out, digital did pretty well right off the bat. Because of Steam, they were able to put out ads and things on Steam to tell people it was out there. But when it went to retail stores, no one really knew, what is this game, Red Orchestra? If they played the mod, maybe they knew about it, but a lot of people didn't know about it. So what that did is when it started to finally sell in retail, it had to sell because of word of mouth and reviews and good reviews and things like that. That was great, but because it started selling 3 or 4 months later, by that point all the retail stores started to mark down the price. So that was kind of a problem. Sub-licensing was a bad thing. I don't know if you know how that works, but essentially having a publishing deal where the publisher hires another publisher to publish your game, and then you get a percentage of a percentage. We were looking at the sales figures because the game did really well in Europe, and it did actually really well in Scandinavia. I think that I like to say that our review scores got better the farther that you went east, and in Scandinavia we got some of our best review scores, but we saw the sales figures, and we were getting very little money, and it was because of sub-licensing deals. There was also a lot of digital distribution growing pains because we were the first major non-source engine game on Steam. Having an Unreal Engine game on Steam, there were problems with loading times and things related to the digital distribution. And really, even though our game by itself did fine, when it was on the digital distribution system, it had problems, and our fans blamed us, and rightly so. It should have been right. You can only look to yourself, but thankfully those problems eventually got solved. And we had some issues with retails, some really, looking back, they're kind of funny, sort of, a 2-disc game and disc 1 and disc 2 have their labels mixed up, so that everybody puts disc 1 in and the game won't install. Real funny now. At the time, not so funny. I actually remember being at E3, and the game had just come out, and someone actually walked up to me at a game convention and said, "My game won't run. Look, the discs are backwards." So, not very fun. Okay, so post-release support. One of the things that was really important for our game, we had a really close relationship with Valve because of working with them to release the game on Steam, and they really did a lot of mentoring with us. And one of the things that they said was, "Why don't you guys do, not just bug fixes and things like that? That's really expected. But the fans, when they buy a game, if there's bugs, they want them fixed. But what Valve suggested was to put out free map packs and free bonus updates to the game, and that worked out really great for us because, as I mentioned before, we didn't have any marketing. But when we started putting out these free update packs every 2 or 3 months, not only were the fans that had bought the game very, very excited, they were very happy to get this free stuff that they, coming out after the game. But every time we did that, it got the game back in the news. It was a new news story. There was websites carrying news about the game, and that kept the game selling, 6 months, 8 months, a year and a half after it was released. And another great thing that we did was free week trials instead of just a regular demo. And that's something that's traditionally been used some in the MMO space, but hadn't really been used a lot in the multiplayers, the regular multiplayer game scene. And that was great because the fans could play the whole game with the whole fan base instead of just playing with a few people on some of these small servers. That worked out really great for us. And one of the things that we were really happy about that we were able to do was a mapping contest. We had found we had all these community mappers just making maps for our game for fun, which was really awesome. So we decided to hold this competition and actually give away major prizes, high-end gaming rigs, video cards, money, things like that, to really shine a light on all the work that these guys were doing. And that was really great because for us, we felt like we came full circle. We got our start because of a modding contest. And now we were able to turn around and do the same thing for some level designers in our community who are now getting games industry jobs and things like that. So it was really great. All right, come on. Oh, no. All right. Nope, that's what went right. That's what's wrong. Thanks. Some of the things that didn't go too good with the post-release support. Game developers can have a tendency to fall in love with their game, and we absolutely did that. We spent, I don't know if I've ever said this publicly, but we actually spent a lot more on the free updates than we did on actually making the game for the original release. And we spent a lot of time. We really think that we should have started on our new game a little bit sooner. Another problem we found was judging a mapping contest. It took a lot of time. We had 50 or 60 map makers enter their map in the contest. To really give each one a fair shake, we had to test each map for about an hour. So, 50 or 60 maps, 50 or 60 hours times everyone in your game studio means a couple of weeks completely gone out the door. And of course, hackers, cheaters, and griefers. Oh my. Yes, it was a dubious milestone. It actually reminded me of the band Nirvana. I heard a quote from Kurt Cobain that said he really knew that Nirvana had arrived when Weird Al Yankovic did a parody song of Smells Like Teen Spirit. And we really knew that our game was getting popular when hackers started showing up and making hacks for our game. Kind of a dubious milestone. So yeah. So what are we doing now? Unfortunately, I would love to tell you about the new game we're working on. We're all very excited about it. I can tell you it uses Unreal Engine 3. It's a tactical first-person shooter. Beyond that, unfortunately, I can't say anything yet. So what I'd like to do is just very quickly tell you a little bit about some of the mods that have been coming out for Red Orchestra. And this has got us very excited. The maps and everything were really nice, but now having mods for our own game, it just feels really great seeing all these people put time to it. We've got the Minion Works stuff. They've done new vehicles, new levels that have been really great. Sorry, some of these are kind of dark and hard to see on this big screen. There is a mod called Mare Nostrum. It's in North Africa. It's a total different theater of battle, and these guys have done some really great stuff. One very interesting mod is called Carpathian Crosses. It is the first, as far as I know, the first time you've ever been able to play the Romanian army in a video game. So, and surprisingly, it's very, very good. When we first heard about it, we're like, oh yeah, Romanian army, that's going to be a great mod. But we played it, and it's very, very, very quality stuff. And actually, some of the level designers that worked on that mod had previously worked on the original Red Orchestra. So there's really great maps with that. And then finally, there's a mod called Darkest Hour. This actually just came out yesterday. I've got a chance to play it just a little bit because I've been here. But it's really great. It's a fairly used place. It's Normandy, Americans versus Germans. But what's really great about this is it's done in the Red Orchestra style. Very realistic, very tactical, and very hardcore. So we're all very excited about all these mods coming out for Red Orchestra. So that's my speech. Hope that kept everyone entertained. I'd be happy to talk to, if any of the students want to ask me questions about my experience. Like I said, just 4 years ago, I was a student just like you. And, now I run my own game studio. And if you have the passion and the drive and the talent, you can do the exact same thing that I did. So thank you all very much. Good job.
All right. So what do you say we give away some more prizes?